Okay, hopefully we are back this time. We had major technical issues, we've had the wheel not recognised, all because Windows decided to do an update prior to doing the stream this evening, and that has just totally thrown everything out of the window. So, we are back, and hopefully this should be working now because I've just checked, it is now showing up. I have my wheel nicely showing up on my screen. We're loading back into RaceRoom, so hopefully we can actually get this up and running again. So, let's start this afresh. Today we're looking at the WTCR cars, the 2020 versions in RaceRoom. So we will jump into the game, and hopefully we will be up and running. So here we go. Loading into the sim now. We're in the Alfa Romeo Giulietta TCR car. We're going to go through them in order. We are going to put them against each other and do a hot lap style competition, and we're going to see which car is quicker and give our overall thoughts on the WTCR 2020 pack. So, if you're going to come back and join us, welcome. We're glad to have you back with us. Hopefully this time we'll be able to turn some laps and actually feel what these cars are like to drive. So, here we go. We are back, and let's go out on track and see how we get on. Well, we have force feedback, we have wheel inputs. Next question, do we have brakes? We have brakes. Oh, amazing. Okay, let's get to grips with these WTCR cars then. So, running the Goodyear tyres. Let's see what these are like to drive. Laguna Seca is not one that features on the WTCR calendar. However, it's quite a decent little short circuit, lots of challenging corners on it, so hopefully we can actually get a good understanding of how these cars drive and handle in these situations. So, Funky, thank you for coming back and joining us. Really appreciate you coming back and sticking with us through our technical issues. One thing we have learned from that first initial run was not to hit that sausage curb, so we'll avoid that where we can. The corkscrew is very, very tricky, but not too bad in this little front-wheel drive car. Avoid that sausage curb on the inside there. Okay, first lap almost complete. Initial signs are quite positive actually. So front-wheel drive cars have their own unique handling capabilities, so obviously they tend to have a lot of power understeer when you put the power down, but also these cars are quite light on the rear, so it's quite easy to go into a corner and for the back end to just come round. And the only way to kind of counter that is by using a little bit of throttle to try and drag the front end back into its rightful place. But it also means that a fair amount of trail braking is required to keep the car neutral and balanced, but also you also have to keep a little bit of that throttle on just to keep the car moving forward and keep getting that grip through the front axle. It was a little bit too early into that, but so far the car seems to be okay. So what we do know about RaceRoom is the sound quality is very, very good, so the engine sounds are all nicely represented in game. Go through the corkscrew once more. Cars hopping around all over the place. So as I was saying earlier on before we had our technical issues, the TCR cars are quite basic in terms of their technology and how they're actually built. A lot of the touring cars got quite advanced, especially Super Touring era, where they were just £1 million special prototypes basically, so there are lots of development going into them, but these cars are designed so that they keep the costs down by using their stock parts where possible. So things like drive shafts, for example, are the same drive shafts you get on an Alfa Giulietta road car, which means you do get some individuality about each car In the real world, obviously, that translates into things like mechanical failures, etc. A little bit of mid-corner oversteer, a bit too quick into there. But so far, car's feeling very alive, actually. Lots of feeling, lots of movement on track as well. This corner's so tricky. It's hard enough in a rear-wheel drive car, but trying to get the front-wheel drive car to turn into there is quite a difficult task. So. So we've got another car on track in front of us here. We've got some purple sectors being laid down despite my poor driving at the standard. You really got to balance the car through there as much as you can. It's really easy to wash out to the left. We are gaining a little bit on the car ahead. Hi Whippy Whip. Yes, technically we have just started because we had some major issues with my PC after doing some updates and things, and the wheel wasn't working properly. Everything just went completely down south. So we are officially up and running now. Everything is working as it should, and we're on track testing some TCR cars. So what could be better? But welcome along. Good to have you with us. So far, a bit of a slide through there. So far, I'm actually really enjoying this Alpha. I think in the previous iteration, in the 2019 cars, I always found the Alpha to be a little bit, I don't know, like it was a bit missing something. So it was like it was a rather lifeless car. It didn't seem to have much of a front end to it, or just any kind of feel in general, really. So it's actually quite nice to jump into this car straight out the bat and have a decent feeling in it. We seem to have a fair pace advantage over the AI at the moment, even though on 100%, so we have to turn them up a little bit just to see what we can do with that. Yeah, they're braking really early. It's one of the new Seats in front of us there. Now, well, that's what you think. So you could easily look at them and say, hey, look, we've just taken the 2019 cars and added some new liveries to them. But what they say is they've actually updated a lot of the driving physics with these cars. So they've got new tyres on them, so they've got the Goodyears on rather than the Yokohamas, so they've got a different tyre model altogether. And they've reworked the physics on them as well. So we know the old 19 cars were really, really good. Some of the best represented front-wheel drive touring cars in sim racing, in my opinion. So if they've managed to improve on that, then that's surely a really good sign. So far the signs are actually pretty good. So we're going to try and do a live review of it as we can. We're going to go through each individual car, see what they like to drive, and just generally give our thoughts on these cars. But so far, force feedback wise, this is actually really, really good. You get an idea. So when you put the power down through there, you can see that the revs just kind of went through the roof when we had a bit of wheel spin through there, and I felt that through the wheel. It kind of went all light and kind of snapped on me. Oops, it's a bit deep into that. But feeling that wheel spin through the wheel then really helps. We're just trying to get an idea of how much grip is available to you through the wheel. Obviously we have to rely on sounds and force feedback for our understanding of what the car's doing. So to get those as closely connected as possible makes a big difference in terms of how you actually drive these cars. So far, for me, force feedback is really, really good. We mentioned sounds already. Sounds are good. You know, we've got some good transmission whine. The engine sounds are mixed quite nicely. There's no obvious looping going on. A little bit of a later turn in there. I was determined not to hit that sausage curb then, and what did I do? Just nailed it. But again, going into that corner, there was some there was some oversteer, and it was instantly translated through the wheel, which was really good. I'm actually thinking these are better than the 2019 cars, and it's very early to say, obviously, because we've only driven one car for a handful of laps, but the initial looks of it, super positive, so it's really good. And now I know that having tested the WTCR 19 cars, and we did a little bit of a race with them, they do race quite nicely as well. So let's see what happens when we try and sneak past this Seca in front of us here. Ooh, this is coming across on me. See if we can dive at the inside. One of the other things I noticed with the old WTCR cars, old, but the 2019 ones, is that you tended to lock up, and it was so easy to just lock the tyres and not actually get that back. So when you try and modulate the brakes to try and kind of stop that tyre from being locked, it was not always easy to do that. But I kind of snatched a brake on the way into turn 1 when I overtook that Seca there, but I was able to kind of come off the brakes a little bit and then actually released and let the wheel roll fully again. So that's positive. That line wasn't. Okay, Alpha's feeling pretty good. So what we're going to do then? We're going to jump out of this race session because we don't want to have other cars in the way. Horsepower. That's a good question. Let's have a look and see if it gives us any information on them. That's 2019. We don't want those. We want 2020 cars. It doesn't give us any information here, but it probably would do on the store page. So let's go have a look at the store page and see if it gives us that info before we jump into another session here. Cars. I think they are 300-ish from memory. Don't quote me on that because we're going to find out now, but I think you're probably right. 300-ish is probably in the right region. So let's just go to packs because easy to find them that way. Decent selection of cars. It's good to have another one on the grid as well with the Renault, so it'd be interesting to see how that one drives. Where's our 20 cars? Here they are. Alright, so let's go for the Alpha here. Does this give us any info on here of the car? 340. So there we go. So they're over 300 brake horsepower. So I would imagine all the other cars would be in a similar kind of bracket to that. So yeah, front wheel drive, 340 horsepower. Yeah, plenty to keep things interesting. So we're going to go back to Laguna Seca, wherever that's gone. Here it is. Have that. Actually, let's practice. We don't want any opponents on there. Just going to do this as a hot lap. So we're going to try and do this as one flying lap. I'm just going to try and put one quick lap in and just take that as our given time for that particular car, which means it's extra pressure on me not to run off track, which is not always a good thing, but yeah, we'll work through it. We'll manage. Okay, here we go then. So we have an out lap and a flying lap, and then we'll see what our times are like. And a little Alfa Romeo Giulietta. In previous seasons, the Alfa's been known for having a really good top speed. So I'm not sure whether that's been adjusted for the 20 season. Yeah, they are quite rapid. They are quite quick, actually. So we'll see what kind of lap times we throw down here. Important corners for lap time. The ones going uphill, so this one here is quite important. This next one here, it's so easy to get wrong, as we've seen already. if you don't carry the speed through there, you really do lose out all the way up this hill because it is very, very steep. So I'm going to keep it on the island through here and not run off track because that'll just invalidate your lap. I do love this downhill double apex, it's a really fun corner. Okay, coming up to the last corner now, and we'll get ourselves onto a time lap and just see what kind of time the little Alpha can throw down. Not a bad exit there, so that's a good start at least, before we even cross the line. So here we go, a lap of WeatherTech Raceway in Laguna Seca, first corner. Difficult one, this one. Again, double apex, let the car run a little bit wide on the middle of the corner then, take the last part of the apex. Bit too late on the brakes there. Yes, so there is a bit of torque steer going on. It does tend to wander sometimes. A little bit tentative through there then, but it's not too bad. A little bit quicker through there. And a long drag up the hill. That was very late on the brakes then. You heard them all locking up. Oh dear, pushing too hard now. Missing apexes everywhere. And a big sideways moment through there. I'm going to stick my neck out and say this probably isn't the quickest this little Alpha can go around here. But let's see what lap time it puts down. No doubt I'll make mistakes in the other cars as well. So up to the line of 32.298. So on the low side of the 1 minute 32s. So, the Alfa Romeo then. So far, obviously it's the only car I've tested in this particular pack, but feels good. So, let's jump out and we'll jump into one of the other cars. So next in line will be the Audi Rs3 Lms. So 4 cars to choose from here. So Nicolas Bert, Gilles Magnus, Nate Berton and Tom Coronel with the 2 DHL livery cars. Gilles Magnus did some great things this year with this last year with this particular car. He was particularly quick, so we'll harness some of that here, I reckon. Again, go to Laguna Seca. So what we'll do, we'll just do all these initial comparisons between the cars, see what kind of speed we can get out of them, and then we'll look and do some races in various different tracks as well, just to kind of see how they race together with the various different cars. So we'll see how they stack up here. We'll do a few laps in this one just to get used to the car, and then we'll do a flying lap for comparison. Managing front tyre over a longer race could be interesting. Yes, it would be. As it is, I think I probably cooked them on the outlap because it was getting quite slippery towards the end of that hot lap. So yeah, it would be interesting to see how that goes. But the Audi from the previous pack, the 2019 pack, was one that I always found to be really nice on the front end. It used to have a really sharp front end, so you could point it into the corners quite capably, and you would just take them no problem. Now it's a little bit longer of a wheelbase compared to the Alpha, which would hopefully make it a little bit more stable through fast corners. So that would be where we'd really see if that pays off through this next corner up here. Straight away, that just went through there, no dramas. So this what happens when the tyres are fully up to speed / cooked. Now each of these cars obviously are very different, and there is a significant amount of BOP or balance of performance adjustments which are made to try and keep them as closely matched as possible. So whether that gets adjusted remains to be seen, but in its current release guise, we'll see how it stacks up. But so far the car feels really good actually. It feels a lot more stable than the Alpha. Obviously that's just under 1 lap. Went into that first corner, no problem. Need to be a little bit more patient on the throttle out of there, just running me out of road. Running myself out of road, should I say. Yeah, so very little dramas going through turn 3. Yeah, sausage curve, don't hit that. Too early again on the turn in there. But, early impressions are pretty good so far. Such a deceiving corner. You think you can take so much speed through it, but in reality it's a little bit slower than you think it might be. That's where there's going to be a lot of time to make up on that lap time with the Alfa Romeo. I just went too deep into the corkscrew. Yeah, this is definitely a lot more stable. It's just like, there's just no drama to it at all. You're simply just cruising around the track, no problem. So I'm obviously not driving fast enough. There we go, our line's on here. It's cheating a little bit. Yeah, it's a better exit out of there, just kind of making it a little bit easier to get the power down rather than just having to wait too much just because I've put too much on too soon. Oof, crunch. Well, we're already quicker than the Alpha, not that we're looking at lap time in this particular case. We'll put the pressure on, we'll do the same situation with a 1 lap shootout. But this car certainly feels pretty good actually. I wouldn't be surprised. Ooh, there's that lockup, but again, able to just kind of release the brake just a little bit, and it just comes back to you. So, right, we're not gonna finish this lap off because what we're going to do is we're going to do our quick lap. So we'll return to garage. We'll turn off our line so we don't get a cheat here. Where's this all heading now? Race line. Turn that off. Okay. So out lap, hot lap. Can we beat a 1:32.2? And my early estimation is it's going to be a yes. So get your answers in the chat there. Let me know. Can I beat the Alpha with the Audi? Very tight pit lane exit here. What we may have to do is just revisit the Alpha at the end just to see if we can actually extract a little bit more out of it, because it may have been a little unfair throwing that in first and then making a hash of the lap, so we'll see. So, can I beat a 1:32.2? I reckon I can. I reckon I can do it. As long as the pressure doesn't get to my head. Yeah. I just love how that corner just comes back to you a little bit there. It's really good. You reckon a 1:31, Funky? Yep. Okay. Let's see if we can make that happen. Get ourselves a good exit out of here. Okay, time block coming up. So we were up considerably when we were just finishing off our previous run, so I think we would get a 31 if I don't chuck it off. Just going for a better exit, that's all. Well, mustn't hit this curve on the inside. Hear the wheel spin halfway through that corner then. Just tucks into that corner just so neatly. There really is no complaints from the front or the rear. I think it shouldn't shift down to third there. I can probably keep that in fourth actually. Still a little bit deep into there. That's a good line through there, that was much nicer. A neat final corner as well, so let's see what kind of times we're getting up on here. 29, 30, 31, it is a 31.3. That's almost a full second quicker than the Alpha. Obviously there's probably going to be lap time to find from chasing setup in these cars, but straight out of the box, the Audi is rapid by the looks of things, so okay, that's interesting. So what we'll do actually is, rather than get our eye in around that track and then set a lap time already, we're going to use a different test track. So we're going to jump into the, well, it's not a Seat actually, it's a Cupra. I have to call it the official name, the Cupra Leon Competition. And lots of cars to choose from, whether you want white or green, or Petafulin here who's gone a little bit rogue with a different colour scheme. Michalowskin is just, well, they're all just greedy, they've got two cars each. I like the green, so I'm going to jump in the green one. So let's use a different track as our initial feeler track. We'll use Brands Indy, and then we'll jump back to Laguna Seca for our test track, just so we don't get any sneaky head starts. So far Audi is the quickest of the two. It is the nicer to drive in terms of control. What did I win? You win a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, so it's the nicest to control of the two. It's quicker and just a nicer front end. Now this Seat has got the little bit of 3D printing, so all the dash is, I believe the dash is actually 3D printed, which is pretty cool. But what I do know it has is that really weird. I don't like that sound. I'm not a fan of it. So it's a DSG gearbox kind of, I don't know, Trump kind of sound. I don't know. It's just like a bleh. I'm not a fan of it. Some people probably like it, but I'm not. So again, similar kind of wheelbase to the Alpha. So be interesting to see how it compares in terms of its stability. This is one particular section of this track which will really challenge that stability. Just it's quite bumpy going through there, but the direction change and the braking and everything is really what will was really what will set it apart. Now I have driven this car a little bit in RaceRoom already, not in its WTCR 20 form, but they have done various hot lap challenges with a Cupra Tcr car when they were running the Cupra Esports Championship. So I have driven this car of sorts a little bit already. But with the tweaks that they may have made to the handling, we'll have to see how it works. so far, feels pretty good. Getting more of that lively rear end feel like we got in the Alpha. Well, you can kind of throttle that back a little bit by just balancing your feet on the pedals, so between braking or accelerator through the corners, you can kind of moderate them both and just maintain a more neutral stance through the corner. Left foot braking really does help in these cars. Obviously there's loads of right hand corners through here, different track dynamic to the one we were used to in Laguna Seca, so interesting to see how we go with that. As far as getting the car into the corner is concerned, it's not too bad. It's quite easy to get the car to do what you want it to do. Reasonably stable over curbs, a little bit bouncy, but in general it's manageable. The Audi was a lot better over the curbs than the Alpha was. What I also love about the Cupra is the onboard delta on the dashboard as well, which is really nice to see. Some of the TCR cars don't have that as part of their dash layout, so you are very much guessing between the split times as to how well you're doing, but with this at least you have a good instant readout of whether you're up or down compared to your quickest lap time, so that's super helpful. And I think it's the same with the Hyundai as well. That has a lap time delta on its dash, but we will find that out later on, whether that's still the case or whether that's changed for the 2020 version. Brands India is a real bruising touring car track. It's just relentless, very, very short. Okay, so the Cupra then. Sounds. The engine sounds good. The transmission sound, again, it's all nice and neatly linked together. The gear shift sound is just par for the course for these DSG Volkswagen Audi Group cars, so not much you can do about that, but it is represented very well to sound like you would expect it to sound. So that's a big plus in terms of immersion. But one of the other great things I love about RaceRoom is the transmission model actually factors in each individual gear change. It's not just a static, okay, you change the gear, it goes into the next gear and that's it, but it actually simulates the transmission engaging, so you get a bit of transmission flutter in some cars, so you can hear it when it goes up through the gears. It's like a bubble kind of a noise, and it's unique in every shift, so it's really cool. Okay, so we've got a reasonable feel for the Cupra. Let's go take it back to Laguna Seca and set ourselves a lap time for our hot lap time board. Let's back up here. Okay, let's go. Not too bad. So for a shorter wheelbase car, the Cupra's feeling okay so far. So that's a good start. I do feel I need to give that Alpha another go, but we'll do that afterwards. We'll go through all the other cars first. Okay, same situation. Out lap, hot lap, and we'll see how it stacks up. It is very communicative though. The car, I mean, just when you're not trying to hustle the car around, you're not focusing on getting lap time and not focusing on, you know, driving the car to the best of your ability. If you're just kind of cruising around, turn in, it just feel what's happening through the wheel. It's well weighted. There's no kind of sloppiness in the middle part of the wheel, so it's tight on either side. So decent weight to it. A good feel on the curbs as well. Yeah, force feedback's really good. Okay, so penultimate corner. Start winding things up a little bit here. Whoop. Let's give it a rip and see where it ends up. Up and over the line. Try not to outbrake myself into turn 1 like I did in the Audi. So again, get your decisions in, faster than the Audi or not. So far, so good. Yeah, definitely a little bit more wiggly through that fast left-hander than the Audi was. You reckon 32? I reckon the Audi's feeling pretty strong so far. Decent last corner then. What's the lap time going to be? It's a 31.6. So we are not quicker than the Audi, which was a 31.3. But we are quicker than the Alpha. Listen to the popping and banging on the over and then. Wow. That sounds amazing. Let's do that again. Awesome. Okay, so far the second best quickest, what kind of words are that? Second quickest car of the pack out of the three we've tried. So, say it then. Looks wise, I love the look of the car. Sounds very personal opinion, I don't like the sound of the gear shift, but everything else sounds great. Force feedback again, spot on. Car feel, it's a little bit edgy, but it's reasonably controllable. It's not you don't feel like you're out of control all the time, so that's a good positive. You feel you can harness it a little bit more. So being loose in a way is quick, but if you're just too loose, it's just no good. So not bad at all. Right, so we'll go back in here, we'll change this back to Brands Indy. Next car on the list is the Honda Civic Tcr. Now this one's probably not changed a great deal from the previous iteration. Again, a whole load of all-in-call Munich Motorsports liveries to choose from. We're going to go with Esteban Guerrieri, I think. And we'll load in and see how this drives. Now, one of the main differences in this one, I think, compared to some of them, is that there's quite a large pillar on the left-hand side. So visibility in this car, I felt in the previous pack was quite poor. Actually, you couldn't really see an awful lot. I mean, I'm using a single screen, so I'm very much restricted to what I can see out of the window here. So those running triple screens or an ultra wide, for example, that may not be so much of an issue. But for me, that's a large pillar. Just take an awful lot of the vision away from you. You get like a small little letterbox to look through. But we can forgive that if it drives nicely. So rumble on the limiter. Wow. Honda power going through our front wheels on this one. Sounds good. Straight away feels quite good. I mean, there, see, I can't see my apex point because of that massive pillar. And obviously I can change that with seating position and FOV and things, but I don't really want to be adjusting that for each individual car I get into. Plenty of understeer through there, which hopefully is just the tyres being a bit cooler. But we shall see. Little touch of oversteer on the way, not much, but enough to ignore the lap times there, not a problem. Just enough just to let you know that you're on the limit. Okay, so far, car feels pretty good. Fair amount of high speed understeer through. Ooh, hello. Hello. Did not like that change of direction, and then heaps of understeer on the way out. This is a very different car to drive compared to the other three so far. Let's give it a couple more laps, see if we can get around that. So just all the way through there. That's one of those corners which just you just can't see with this car. Just cannot see the apex point. Yeah, so it's definitely trying to swap ends on me through that section of the track up towards clearways. Very, very different. So this is a similar kind of wheelbase to the Audi in a way. It's a little bit longer. This is going to be interesting to see how this gets on around Laguna Seca, being mostly left-hand corners. It's going to be a guessing game to see where I actually need to turn in. Okay, let's see if we can squash that oversteer. Yeah, just a slightly different line through there just to try and prevent it, but my word, there's a lot of understeer. Again, that can be changed with setup and things, but we're just using baseline setups on this one. Through the fast stuff, through Paddock Hill Bend there, doesn't feel bad at all. It's the direction changes which I think is the main issue. So if you have a constant radius corner like that, for example, it turns in, it goes through no problem, but when you try and asking it to do a few things at once, so change direction, brakes, it goes around on you. So just a different driving style, I think. Let's see if we can harness that around Laguna Seca. Maybe. Load that back up. In the Honda. So here we go. So what do we reckon to this one? I don't think this is going to be as quick. I don't think I'm going to be... I reckon this is going to come in behind the Cupra. That's my prediction. Let us know your prediction. It would be interesting to know what you think I can achieve with this car. Bearing in mind I have said quite a few negative things about it compared to the others. It may well be a surprise, you never know. It may come out being reasonably quick. So we'll all find out in the next couple of minutes. That's if I can actually find my way around the track. tyres screaming at me saying, "What are you doing?" Definitely a lot more tyre noise in this car than there were in the others, whether I'm just noticing it more or not, I'm not sure. Well, I tucked through there quite nicely, it was quite neat into there. Let's see what it's like through here. This is the tricky one. Didn't give me much confidence going in there, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, you reckon 132 would be a win? Yeah, at this rate, possibly. It's a little bit of an exploration lap. This one just to see, what I can actually do and find my way around. Right, okay. Last corner's here somewhere. No, it's there. That's something you just have to get used to, I think. Okay, so not the best run onto the first straight, but we'll see if we can make the most of it from here. This could well be in the 32s with the Alpha. Sure, dear me. Now, bearing in mind these are my own particular driving styles, so it may well be that you can jump into this car and instantly feel more at home with it than you would do in, say, the Audi or the Alfa or the Cupra, for example. But for me, something's not quite clicking with this car at the moment, which is strange because I actually found the Honda, despite its massive pillar, I actually found it to be one of the quicker ones in the old pack. But lap's not over yet. Somewhere around there. I think I missed it, but couldn't be sure. Okay, well, we survived. We kept it on the track. We've kept the lap live. What's it going to be? It is. It's a 32.2, so it's quicker than the Alpha, but quite a bit slower than the rest. Part of that was just losing where I was here at turn 1, because you come through here. Tell me where the apex is there. Then come through here. Okay, I'm going to let the car breathe in the middle. Am I round it? Where am I? Yeah, you're just guessing. So, not an easy car to drive. So, out of the 4 where we've tested, this is definitely the hardest one to get used to. Even though the Alpha was a little ragged, at least you could see where you're going and not actually be able to have a chance of finding the apexes. So, okay, interesting. Honda is lacking a little bit in terms of pace, but again, there could be ways around that to improve that. So, moving on from the Honda then, the Hyundai I30n Tcr. This one has plenty to choose from. You've got a page and a bit worth of car liveries to choose from. A bit more variety in here. We've got some reds and then a whole load of blue. So you just kind of have to use the force just to kind of figure out what you're doing and where you're going. It's yeah, not easy. Okay, I'm going to jump in Luca Enningsler's Hyundai for this one. We'll go back to Brands Indy and load it up. Now this car I remember was particularly quick. They did on RaceRoom midway through last year. They did a British touring car type championship which they were running with the old 19 cars, and I wasn't able to do the championship unfortunately, but I did qualify for the first round at the top of the leaderboard running the Hyundai, so I know that it's a very quick car. So let's see if that continues with the new pack. What we might do as well is we'll take the quicker of the cars, and if it's not the, if say for example it's not the Renault, we might pitch it against the 19 car and just see if we can notice anything that's particularly obvious between the two cars. Lots of popping and banging on this one. So much depth to the noise, there's just so many things you can listen out to. Little oversteer into the way in. Again, another short wheelbase hatchback type car. Just feeling the car work its way over the bumps on the exit of Cascades. Don't know why I'm thinking Cascades. Last corner. Clearways. Just feeling its way over the road. So, good front end then, tucked in quite nicely. Obviously different gearing in these cars as well, so they are shifting in different parts of the lap. That's because they use a standard gearbox on the car, so I believe, anyway. Right, let's see how we get on with this car now up to temperature. See how it handles the rolling corners of Brands Hatch Indy circuits. A bit of understeer through there, but then I was pushing on quite a bit. The other thing with these front-wheel drive TCR cars, you do have to be quite smooth with your inputs. They don't really like lots of sharp inputs because it just upsets the balance of the car. Not too bad through there actually. There was still an element of the rear end trying to wobble away from me on the run into the braking zone there, but not as much as it was in the Honda, that's for sure. Keep it on track limits this time round. So bad through there. You can see Graham Hill Bend, so we can actually get through there without too much drama. Get it tucked in nice and early through here. Nice and neat through there that time. Ooh. Backing it into Panicle Bend. I should say rolling corners, didn't mean literally. But managed to save it, just about. That's what you get with a slightly shorter wheelbase car. It doesn't really take the curves as well as a longer one like the Audi or what we're going to be trying next, the Lincoln Co. Which just means you just got to drive them a little bit differently. It's feeling okay so far, apart from that slightly crazy two-wheeled moment. Just about kept it within track limits, and yes, this one does have the lap time delta on the dash, which is handy. Okay, tucked in a bit early there, that's better. More power nice and early. Starting to get used to the car a little bit more now. So, as mentioned earlier in the stream, at least I think it was in this one and not the failed starting stream that we did, there was controversy with this car. Complaints of it being too quick. Ooh, big slide. Bit of power just to bring the front end around. But yeah, there was complaints that this car was just too quick and that Hyundai themselves felt that they were being unfairly punished for building a good car. So who knows where they would have ended up in the championship if they did all the rounds, but because they decided not to turn up for the, I think it was the Nürburgring rounds. It was interesting part of the season. Okay, so the car's feeling pretty good so far. Not too dissimilar from what I remember actually to the previous version of it. So that's interesting to see. But the proof is in how well it goes around Laguna Seca. So let's see what kind of lap time we can extract out of the little Hyundai. Yeah, interesting. I'm going to be. I reckon this one's going to be fairly quick. Actually, I think we're chasing what, a 31.2, I think it was. So I think this will be quicker than. It's either going to be P1 or 2. I think, if I can get it all together. Pit lane speed limiter is just violent. Let's see how we find ourselves around here. But you can see what I mean though. I mean, look how much extra you can see on the left hand side of this car. You can get a pretty good idea of where you are on track, so definitely helps a poor single screen sim racer like me. I am genuinely intrigued to see quite where this car is going to sit in our grand leaderboard. So, what's your predictions? Quicker? Slower? Where's this going to sit in the grand scheme of things? Oops, bit much of a cut then. If I can stay on four wheels. You're going 130s, okay. Reckon I go 2/10 quicker than the Audi. Well, there are some sausage curbs here. I'm going to try and not hit them, so hopefully all four wheels will stay on ground. But we're into the lap, so let's see what we can do with it. Too bad through turn 1 on the limiter. What did I say about sausage curbs? Okay. Make this one count. So I think the Audi's feeling quicker so far, but it's not over yet. It's a bit wide. Sliding through there. Quite nice through the last corner then, but let's see, what's the lap time going to be? It's not a 30. It's a 31.8. 31.8, so Does that put it third quickest? Or was it fourth quickest? We had a 31.2, 31.6, 32.2, 32.3, 32.8 or something as well, so it could be third quickest, that one. Okay, so Hyundai. As far as driving feel is concerned, drives nicely. It's really really quite a nice feel. It's not too stuck to the road. There's a fair amount of movement underneath you. You can feel the back end moving around quite a lot as well. However, it's controllable to a degree. Obviously, there was a massive slide in the penultimate corner there, which was potentially just me going into there a bit too quick, trying to make up time. But in general, the car turns in nice. There's a decent amount of grip. There's not too much power understeer. Everything's reasonably controllable. So, sounds good. Drives nicely. Lap time's not too bad. We can probably bring that down if we neaten things up a little bit. But yeah, not a bad car. Not a bad car at all. So, 2 to go in our back-to-back test. And then we will pick a car to do the race in. So, next on the list, hidden underneath me down here, is the Lynk & Co 03. And again, we have 4 cars to choose from, all of which look exactly the same apart from the numbers. But I quite like what they did with the livery this year, with this this black strip across the bottom of the sill there. It makes it look quite neat and striking. Actually, I do quite like it. I like the look of the Lynk & Co. It's a bit unique. I mean, obviously the bonnet lights look a bit odd if you're looking at it for the first time, but in general, I think the look of the car is really nice. There's only one guy to go with for this one. I'm going to go with a Van Muller's car. Sorry, a van. Hopefully I can do it justice. Right, Brands Indy, here we come. Let's go out on track. So again, we've elongated the wheelbase. We've gone from a short little Hyundai I30 to a much longer traditional saloon car. So this should be good over curbs. It should be pretty good on direction changes. Whether it's going to be as good on turning, we'll find out. So yeah, Mr. Incognito, welcome along. I love RaceRoom, but cannot for the drive these WTCR cars. Good lap. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. They are tricky. I'm not going to stand here and say, oh, they're just dead easy to drive. You can just jump in them and put whatever lap time down you want to. They are very tricky to get right. And like I said, you've got to really balance the pedal inputs, the steering inputs, and everything. You really got to maximise, because what you've essentially got is you've got the front wheels who are trying to do everything. They're taking the full brunt of all the power you're trying to put through with your right foot. They're also taking the brunt of the braking and trying to get the car turned in, and sometimes you're trying to do all 3 of those at the same time. So they're doing an awful lot, so you've really got to maximise where that grip is for each of those wheels, so each of the tyres, should I say. So, you know, if you've got 50% of the tyre being used for your cornering, you have 28% or sorry, 25% used of it for braking. That only leaves you with another 25% to play with to actually balance the full grip level. If you overstep that mark, it's just going to complain and go, no, I can't do it. I'm not doing this anymore, and you're just going to be off. So you've got to make sure you're balancing every input to get the most out of it. So that's the challenge of driving front-wheel drive cars. A lot of the purists say, oh, the only race cars are rear-wheel drive, and that's it. Front-wheel drive cars are not everyone's cup of tea, but they do have their place in motorsport, and they do have their own unique driving style, which you kind of have to get used to in a way. But anyway, Lynk & Co. Weird name, odd looking headlights, but what's it like as a car to drive? Again, plenty of popping and crackling on the overrun with the high fidelity sounds that you are used to now from RaceRoom. And a much wider view here. I can see so much more. I mean, the pillar's reasonably wide, but it's not in the position where it's going to cause visible issues for spotting apexes, aka Honda Civic Type R. Okay. Initial things. So, with all the cars that I've driven so far, the force feedback is quite strong. this feels a little bit lighter in terms of genuine force, but at the same time it's not actually losing detail. So it's not light in the fact that you can't feel anything. You can feel it, it's just not quite as heavily weighted as you get in some of the other cars. So you can still feel all those bumps, all those curb strikes there. Wish they do authentic dash displays. Yeah, I don't think they are using official dashes, which is a shame, because they go to the great detail. If you have a look closely, you go in, so you go onto the free camera for example, and you go and take a look inside the car, and you look inside the driver's helmet. Each one of the faces inside those helmets are the actual faces of the racing driver in question. So when I was looking through the other day on the 2019 cars, I was looking inside the cockpit of the VW Golf for Johan Kristoffersen. And I'm looking at the driver inside the cockpit, I'm like, that looks like Johan's eyes, you know, you can kind of tell, that looks just like Johan's. So I was like, is that the case with everybody? So I went into Gordon Shedden's car, I went into Ivan Muller, Gabriele Tarquini. They mapped each individual driver's face to that particular driver, which is incredible. This is so cool, there's that little attention to detail. In most sims they just take a generic driver model and just put him in the car, and they'll just hide him with a with like a smoked or a tinted visor. But these ones, they have the visors open, so you can actually see into the eyes of the driver, and they are the actual driver. And you can tell that Gordon Shedden was beaming from ear to ear when he had his photo taken for that, because you can just tell he's just smiling inside his cockpit. He really loves his racing, so wouldn't be surprised. Okay, back on topic. The Lincoln Co. So far, it's everything I was expecting it to be. And what I mean by that is it feels like a much longer, more stable car. So it actually feels a bit more like the Audi in terms of how it handles itself through the corners. And where that's most evident is actually through that fast left-right chicane just coming up here now. And I'll demonstrate that as we go through it. But turn-in wise, it turns in fantastic. There's no dramas, there's no back end coming around on you, but here, let's go through here. There's just no upset whatsoever, because it's a little bit longer wheelbase. It just soaks up those bumps, it's a little bit better. It's not unstable because of going over a bump with the two axles in quick succession and then just causing like an oscillation, bouncing type effect. With this, there's a little bit more of a delay between the axles hitting that particular bump, and as such, it's not upset as much by it. So, exactly what I was expecting to find from this car. This does feel rather good. So there, I got the feeling that the back of the car was sliding a little bit, but in a way which actually pointed the car into the corner even better. And the thing with front-wheel drive cars is the rear tyres are really just being dragged around the whole time. They're not really doing an awful lot other than just trying to keep the back end from swapping ends on you. So the fact that it can keep itself nicely stable through the corners, but still have a little bit of slip just to allow for that rotation, makes for a really quite a nicely balanced car. Now the other thing with this particular car is you obviously got the shift lights on the dash there, but there's some other lights on the dash which you don't get with the other two cars, which are situated at either side of the main dash, and those are lock-up lights. So you see they kind of come on in purple lights, and that's a really handy visual aid to see where you're actually locking the brakes a little bit too much, so you can just back that braking input off a little bit. A lot of the GT cars run those these days as well. There's a lot of GT3 cars which run brake lock-up lights. I think the Porsche Cup car does that as well. But this is the only one that I know of in TCR which actually utilises that same technology. So if you're into your details and you like your driving to be fed back to you in terms of lights and dashboard displays, the Link & Co might just be the one for you. It certainly is a very useful tool. And there again, just get it tucked in, and there's no fuss. The car just stays there. It lets you know that the grip is at the limit, but it just stays there. So yeah, Link & Co feels good. Let's take it to Laguna Seca and see how it stacks up against its competitors. This one I reckon could be a real contender to take the Audi's crown, I think. I know I said that about the Hyundai, and that turned out to be not quite as close as I was expecting it to be. However, this one, because it's so similar in terms of its specification, in terms of its wheelbase, etc., and the way it feels on track, yeah, this one could be right up there. So as far as a car to jump into straight away, I would so far say go with the Audi or this, and we'll see how this stacks up in terms of pace now. So if this one goes out and absolutely trounces the Audi's lap time, this will be the car to go with to start off with. Okay. Being a longer car, obviously, it might cause some slight issues going through tighter corners, like the pit exit, for example, or the corkscrew here at Laguna Seca. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So you reckon this is number one and funky? Okay, yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree with you on that one. Obviously all depends very much on whether I put all the laps together, but with the way this thing drives, there's no reason to think it will. Or that it won't. Whatever. You'll get it. Yeah, the car feels good, so that's the bottom line of it. This is where I expect it to be particularly planted through that fast left-hander. We'll see how that goes when we're properly up to speed. The other advantage of longer wheelbase cars is they are more stable on the brakes as well. So if you feel like you have no control over the brakes in some of the other cars, try one of the longer wheelbase ones and just see if that helps. So look at that, straight through there, no problem at all. Okay, let's get ourselves a good exit from the last corner, and like that, and we'll go. Let's go chase that 1:31.2 to beat. Can we get into the 30s? That's the question. Oh, that was so nice through turn one. It's a little bit too slow into there. But ever through here. Brilliant. Overslowed it a little bit through there, but it should be okay. Oh, it's on the ragged edge through there. Took a bit more speed through there that time. Trying to get the power down through there is really tricky. Even with clipping the curb there, still no problems. A little ragged, and we'll be honest, wasn't the smoothest, cleanest of laps. Ooh, okay. Well, 1:31.699, so it's finished at 1:31.7. I reckon there's probably more in that. I mean, there's more in all the laps, I'm sure, but that's interesting. I was expecting to be a little bit closer than that, but So far, the Audi is the one. So yeah, so you've, Mr. Incognito, you tried this car, found it easier to drive than others. I think it's because it's longer. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. It seems to be a bit more planted. It's definitely a lot more planted than the Alpha, than the Hyundai, than the Seat as well to an extent. The Seat's not bad, but yeah, this car and the Audi so far are the easier to drive. Now then, into the unknown completely with this next one, because we are going to take on the Henry Ford version of Renault's Megane, all in black. I'll take the black one. Right, let's go back to Brands Indy. See how this goes. So this was brought in. This is run by Australian team Vukovic Motorsport. They had 3 cars out throughout the year, and you know, acquitted themselves quite well. They were not too far off the pace. They started to get closer up towards the front end of the field. They had been running them in other championships around the world. I think TCR Europe had Meganes in the previous year, but they never made it to the WTCR. So the first time that they made an appearance in that particular category. So this is a kind of I guess a medium between the shorter wheelbase cars and the longer ones. This is kind of part way between, so it might be a bit of best of both worlds going on here. But this is all pure speculation because we haven't driven it yet, so let's jump on track and see whether that actually comes to fruition. Interesting dashboard I can see there. It looks like it's it's just like a plastic mould of the original one. Okay. Oh, just listen to it. That's what I'm talking about. I just love that noise. Anyway, that little flutter just when you engage in gear, brilliant. I honestly cannot say enough about the sounds in RaceRoom. They are absolutely fantastic. Okay. What's the Megane like? So again, reasonably soft on the old force feedback side of things, just like the Link & Co. Very aggressive on the downshifts there. Ooh, hello. There's a bit of power understeer going on there. Yeah, so when you come down through the gears, you can feel it through the wheel. I know you can dial that in RaceRoom. You can actually add gear shift effects to the overall force feedback, but that is not as noticeable in the other cars as it is in this one. Very interesting. It's quite harsh actually. Yeah, interesting to see whether that actually upsets the balance of the car when you're trying to go through the corners and downshift at the same time. Yeah, that's really quite jerky. There's a bit of power understeer through there, so I guess similar in a manner to the Honda Civic actually in that respect, but with better visibility. Well, bit of oversteer helped us that time round. It's always going to go light on you going over the top of Paddock Hill Bend there though. Just the nature of the corner itself. Interesting about this downshift, it's making more of an effect than I thought it was going to. Taking off over the circuit change there. At the moment, this one's feeling a bit like a mid-grid sort of car, which you could probably argue that's where it is. It's not a front-running car in the series, but in terms of lap time, I reckon this is going to be there or thereabouts, but not at the sharp end. I don't think it's going to challenge the Audi, but you know, could be wrong. it could just be really rapid in the straight line as well. It does feel quite quick. Ooh. It's feeling almost like a rear-wheel drive car at times. Then you have a little bit of lift-off oversteer with this car, which is, you're going through the S's section, came off the throttle, and with the wheel turned, it just seemed to snap a little bit on me. Front end's quite nice though, it does turn in nicely. Keep it nice and tight through there. It's better. Again, because of the gear ratios in this car and the way it doesn't allow you to downshift if you're too high up in the rev range, especially here at Brands Indy, it's a bit of an issue trying to get the car stopped for paddock or bend, because you want to be shifting down to third gear, but the car goes, no, you can't do that. So you have to shift down a little bit later. Back end was going around just a little bit too much that time, but just applied a little bit of throttle just to kind of bring the front end in and then just go with it. So we ended up going a little bit quicker there. Okay, car feels pretty good. Got a reasonable eye for it now, so let's go back to Laguna Seca and see where the new boy stacks up. Oops, no, not single lane, that's not what I want. Go back. What do we think? So far we've got Audi, you're going to have to remind me of this because I've forgotten already. We've got Audi at the front, then I believe it is the Seat, then we have a Lynk & Co, then we have the Alpha, well sorry, the Hyundai, then the Alpha, and I think the Honda is the slowest of the lot so far. So, where is this Renault going to end up, I wonder? Do the 2020 tyres have more grip than previous years? I think there's only one way we can answer that question. So, once we've done this hot lap, we're going to pick a car, one that does exist in the 2019 pack, and we'll put them side by side and just see what the differences are. See if there is more grip. I think that's the way to do it. So, okay, so you're looking at lap times around Brands Indy, and you reckon it could go for second? Okay. Any other advances on that? Who else wants to take a stab at where this is going to stack up in the overall leaderboard? Are we going to be a low 31, high 31, or are we going to be back in the 32s with the likes of the Alpha and the Honda? What we're also going to do, I am, out of fairness for that poor little Alpha, because I don't think I gave it its best chance, I am going to go back and try that again, just to try and see if we can get used to it a little more, because we're still warming up to the idea of running front-wheel drive touring cars. So we'll give that another go. So far, a little of understeer in this one. Stop. That's one corner where that lift-off oversteer could really catch you out. You have to try and balance it with a bit of brake input and a bit of throttle just to try and stop that from happening. So here we go. Let's get our decent run out of here. Yeah, turn-in's not bad. It is quite pointy. Maybe in the high-speed stuff it might be a little bit vague. It might be a bit understeery, but let's see. Stop. Ooh. Didn't want to get out of turn 1. Or into there. Oh no! I want them again to do well. That's better through that. Come on, let's keep this neat now. Or just smash the curb. No, I'm not getting it stopped. Right, okay, this isn't going to lap. It's going to set the lap time. So, let's just cool it off. And we'll go again. Not getting the car stopped. It does look uncomfy, yeah. Wow, what a difference the track makes, huh? Okay, let's try and keep control of ourselves here, shall we? Stay off the sausage curbs. Stay off the throttle where you don't need it. Let's go. Just totally wipe out that last lap and we'll start afresh. It's better through there. Just a little bit more patient. I was just too eager to get on the power. Just because I know that Audi, you just get on the power so early. Better lap so far. Okay, let's get it stopped this time. Maybe. It could be track temp related. No, off track a bit. Kept it on though. Okay. Not amazing, but we've at least kept it within the track limits. 31.4. Really? That's actually really impressed me. That I was not expecting that. I believe that's P2. Didn't feel that good. I'm gonna be honest. It did not feel like that was a particularly quick lap. Okay, so there we go. Need some new brakes. Right. Thoughts on the Laguna, the Megane. Car-wise, I think it's a really cool looking car. I do like the Megane. I think it's a really nice design. How it drives quite nicely actually. I mean, it has its moments. And my one issue with it is the brakes. I can probably change that and I can adapt that with setup and things as well. It doesn't seem to stop as well as some of the other cars in its default form, which is obviously something you can change. But the overall performance of the car on track is reasonably neutral. I mean, you saw going into Panicle Bend that time. Was it Panicle Bend or was it somewhere else? I can't remember what it was. But the back end was coming around and I was just able to keep the power down and it drove out of it really nicely. I think you just need to you can probably drive through it. There's little nuances that each individual car has, there's little handling characteristics you just got to dial yourself into. I think once you've driven more laps in the car and gotten more used to it, you will actually get used to it, and we'll be able to drive through those little difficulties. They're just parts of the car, so that's actually really impressed me. I'm genuinely impressed that that's gone as quick as it has. Okay, so now we've got our eye in. Let's go back to that Alpha and give it one last try. Give it a second chance, because the Alpha is a reasonably quick car, and I've seen people on the hot lap competitions which they've done on RaceRoom. I've seen them running the Alphas, and I'm like, how have you made that car in the old 2019s? But how have you made that car so quick around this track? Because I just could not get on with it in one way or another. So there is obviously potential in the car. So let's see if we can tap into that potential just a little bit. Now, bearing in mind that this was our first car that we drove from this new 2020 pack, we posted a 32.2, and then we instantly went almost a second quicker with the Audi. So let's see if we can improve the Alpha's standing in the leaderboards. It doesn't feel too bad. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's uncontrollable or, you know, generally not that nice to drive. It is a nice car to drive. Do you reckon I can go a second quicker? I probably could do if I'd spend more time, and if I had a little look into the setup of the car. I probably could take a second off it, I reckon. Yeah, wow, I'm just stunned by that again. Okay. So this feels alright. It might just be in the fact that it's been a while since I've driven a front-wheel drive touring car, and it's a little bit too much too soon. So that was quite nice through there. A little bit of a correction mid-corner. Okay. 132.2 to beat. If we go faster now, we know that's down to my adaptation to front-wheel drive touring cars again, I reckon. Felt alright through that. Neat so far. Apart from that sausage curve again. Okay, come on, let's do this. No. Okay, don't hit this one. Don't make it a hat trick of sausage curbs. Yay! Well, so far it's a neater lap than we set originally. Okay. Alright, this could be... Oh, that was good. That was fun. This has got to be quicker than the first lap. Watch out, Audi. Of course it did. Of course it's gone and put in a 130.9. So basically what we're saying is they're probably all quick. You just need to get used to them. I missed one. Which one did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss, Azaris? Okay, so the Alpha is now the quickest. However, as far as cars to jump in and drive, Audi and Lynk & Co are probably the quickest ones to get used to. Okay, well, let's take that Audi and we will compare it against... Well, no, we've just driven the 2019 Alpha, so let's take, sorry, the 2020 Alpha, let's take the 2019 Alpha and and see what it's like in terms of grip levels. Alpha is OP! Wow, who would have thought it? I bet if I repeated that stage again and went through all the individual cars and oh yeah, one of the sausage curbs, yes, I did miss one. Yes! I feel like I won. But if I repeated that process and went through all the individual cars again, I probably would improve the lap times. So it was more of like a Top Gear style lap time competition just to see how it goes. I mean, obviously the first lap for the Alpha was a bit scruffy and the last one was considerably better. So this is going to be the test then. A 30.9 to beat in the older Alpha. Alpha favoritism. I do love Alfa Romeos, but that's not the reason I went back to it. I thought I would just give it a chance because I really did throw it out the window. So this is the 19 car, and we're back on Yokohama tyres rather than the Goodyears. We haven't got the latest physics tweaks. We just have, as it was and has been for the last year and a bit since we had these cars on RaceRoom itself. So let's see if there's any time differences or feel differences between the cars. So far so good, doesn't feel too bad. Wouldn't it just be typical if we go and post a similar lap time in the old car? Okay, here we go. So far not much difference in terms of feel, so the question of does it have more grip on the Goodyears? Not so sure yet. If anything, it feels like there's probably more grip in this variation of the tyres, but I'm going to come on to that in a minute because I have an observation which I think I've made from this, but we'll just finish this lap off first. To the corkscrew, get our braking right. Okay. Okay, coming up to the line then, what's this older spec gonna do? I thought so. We've gone 2/10 quicker. Okay, so my thoughts are the older 2019 cars feel like they have a bit more grip. They don't seem to be... They seem to have a... It's more sticky. The car going through the corner, it is feeling like it's got more grip. However, what you do get with the 2020 cars, it tends to move around more. There's a lot more lateral movement going on, and that may be down to the tyre model that they're using. It could be down to the tweaks in the physics that they're using as well. So it's not a huge amount of difference in terms of lap time, only 2/10 there. I mean, that can just be down to me putting in a slightly better lap than it did in the 2020 car. However, they do feel... Yeah, I'm just trying to put this into words. So the 19 cars, they feel like they are a little bit more None, is what I'm going to say. They feel like they're, I mean, don't get me wrong, the 19 cars, if you just picked them up and you drove them for the first time, you would probably say, yeah, fair dues, that's a really good representation of a front-wheel drive touring car. But I do feel that the new ones is, yeah, there's just a lot more movement going on underneath you. You actually feel like the car is moving around a lot more. I mean, you saw on my hot lap with the Alpha through the penultimate corner on Laguna Seca there, the back end just came around a little bit, but you're able to just kind of ride that slip angle a little bit, just to kind of coax it through the corner. Yeah, I am going to try another one because yeah, just to see, make sure it's not a one-off. It's a good point. So we'll go back to, no, but we'll stick with the 19 cars for now. So let's run the Audi, because I think this is where the big difference is going to be. So let's run the Audi with Gordon Shedden's happy face. If you just joined us, go check out all the faces which are mapped on the cars, because they've actually put their individual faces on and they look brilliant. So just make sure all the cars are out on track and just go around in free camera mode and just go find all the expressions. It's a good way to spend a good 10 minutes in the game. Right, Audi 2019 spec, Yokohama tyres. Now from the real series, what I remember the conversation were about tyres was that they tended to go off a bit quicker compared to the Yokohamas. So over the course of a race, that may come into its own with the new 20 cars. This thing, just turn it in. This is really, it's really just easy to drive. We will actually, yeah, let me show you the faces. So we'll do this comparison and then we'll get a grid of 2019 cars. I'm not sure whether it's the same for the 20, I haven't checked that yet. But we'll get a grid of 19 cars and we'll go and have a look at the faces. This thing's just on rails. I mean, this is the previous version as well, so okay. See that there, the back end came round, but it instantly kind of stopped. It's almost like it hit a brick wall of grip, and all of a sudden it was bit. I didn't do much to control that myself. It just seemed to kind of do that all by itself almost, which is a weird thing to kind of say really, but it kind of felt like the tyre found its grip all by itself. Whereas I think with the new ones, it does start going, but you do need to do something about it to keep it in check and stop it from getting any worse. Too much power on the exit there, that's what caused that understeer. So of course this Audi RS3 is in iRacing as well. I personally prefer the RaceRoom version. No dramas at all through there. Just grips and goes. Yeah, exactly. So front wheel drive, you just apply the throttle and it'll just bring it back into line. So lap time wise, 31.4. 31.4. I mean, there was a lot of time lost at turn 1 because I had that understeering moment. Okay, so that's how that car feels. Let's go into the 20 car now, as quick as we can, and then get an idea of how it compares with its tyres. 20 Audi Geo Magnas, go. iRacing version spins wheels too much. It's like it has 800 rather than 300 brake horsepower. Yes, no, I don't like. I'm not one for bashing one sim against another. They all have their merits and they all do well. However, I will say, I mean, sometimes iRacing does feel like there really isn't any grip, and I know that's track temp specific, but yeah, it does sometimes feel like there's a little bit too little grip. But you know, you got big fat slicks underneath you, so there should be plenty of grip to play with. And I've been in a race car in real life with slicks on in the rain and feel like it has more grip than some of the cars on iRacing. So just an observation. But you know, iRacing for what it is, you know, is hugely successful, and you can't fault the competition system really for allowing people to have pick up and go racing. So yeah, it's good. But RaceRoom is what we're on today, and that's what I'm focusing on. I love all sims. I think they're all brilliant in their own unique way. But these WTCR cars on RaceRoom, they are fabulous. Yeah, 340 is a lot for a front-wheel drive car. I mean, most modern cars are front-wheel drive, and some of them have a lot of horsepower, but they are managed through tricky electronic diffs and things. I don't think that's an option in WTCR. It is really just managed by your right foot. Okay. This is really interesting actually, because this car on these tyres and this new guys, yeah, there's definitely more movement. Just on the road surface, on the tyre itself, there's more kind of lateral movement, and you can feel it more through the wheel as well actually. See what kind of time we can put down with this one. Yeah, it does seem to move around a bit more on these tyres. But it's, if anything, it's a little bit more natural as well, actually. Just take that corner and fourth without having to shift down. No problem at all. We overslowed it for the corkscrew that time. Yeah, see there, it didn't do that with the last one. Obviously I went in there lifting off a little bit more, but yeah, there's definitely a lot more movement in the new cars. And that makes it quite fun to drive actually, it's a bit more challenging if anything. Lap time wise, 31.5. So, you know, it's pretty closely matched. I mean, there's not a great deal in terms of lap time, but it's down to the actual feel of the car itself. Driving the car's definitely definitely different. I think I prefer the 2020 cars, and I love the 19 ones because we've had them for a while. We've had a lot of competition with them, and they are really good. But yeah, the 2020 cars are just a step up again, I think, in terms of performance. So definitely worth trying out. Okay, so what I did say I'd do. Let's go for a single event. Let's load up all the 19 cars. Let's jump in here and select our opponents. We'll make sure we've got all the 19 cars on the grid. No, we don't want that many. We only want 26. Okay, that's fine. Right. Let's load into this then. Yeah, so a 90 Accord Type R and 220 brake horsepower, easy to spin the front and from second to third gear in dry. Yeah, they would do. I mean, yeah, bearing in mind we're running potentially road tyres there, but even so, 220 horsepower, you can still get wheel spin off that. I mean, it's down to what we spoke about at the beginning. It's the nature of front-wheel drive. The front tyres having to do absolutely everything. So all 3 years popped together, it seems. I never really drove the 18 cars, so yeah, I wouldn't be able to comment whether it's taken some of that on there. But okay, so what we're going to do, let's go into the car a second. Ooh. And then we'll go into replay mode. And we'll take our flying camera. Let's go and explore some TCR drivers. So Gordon Shedden then. There he is. Grinning away. Who else has got a really distinctive face that we can use? Thiago Montero. Can you tell? It's Thiago. Different face altogether. Gabrielli. Oh, right through your head, Gabrielli. Let's go down here. There he is. Fred Bavige, Gordon Shedden again, we've seen him already. John Carl, David Hagloff. There we go. It's Tom Coronel. We'd know what Tom Coronel is. Look, there he is. This is brilliant. This is so cool to see the effort they've gone to 3D map. But it's not just like an image as well. It's been properly 3D mapped onto that. So it's excellent. Right, if you allow me, let's find. There we go, Rob Huff. Looks like he was photographed on a dark day. Looks like he's in the shade. Johan. There he is. World Touring Car star and World Rallycross champion as well. Legend. Mehdi Banani. There he is. Really Leuchter. Ted Björk. Nobby. Augusto. There he is. Nicky Katzberg. Jan Elshay. Ivan. There's a very successful touring car driver, and Andy Priot. Also loving life by the looks of things. So there we go. There's a full grid of who hasn't been followed by Tom Coronel on Twitter. So there's a full grid of WTCR stars, all individually mapped into their cars. So yeah, well done, Sector 3 Studios. Full applause for that. Absolutely spectacular. Right. Shall we do a race then? So we know the cars are good. We know they drive well, and they are fun to drive. So let's jump into a race, shall we? We want the 20 cars back. What car should we go? I mean, we know the Alpha's quick now that I've gotten used to it. We know the Audi's a doddle. I'm not driving the Honda because I can't see out of it. We'll go to a different track as well. We'll not go to Laguna Seca. We'll try something else. You know what? Let's try the Megane again. Let's try them again. We want not the 19 cars. We want the 20 cars. Where have you gone, Claire? Oops. No, come back. Okay. We want 25 cars. We don't want. Right. So where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? So I might actually. I really like Aragon. I'm going to go with the fast circuit because that's my favourite layout of the ones on here. We did a review of Aragon when it first came out with the 2019 car actually, so that was a lot of fun driving this car around here. So we'll see how the Megane gets on up against the likes of everyone else. We've got the settings on 100% for the AI. So we'll see what happens. I mean, around Laguna Seca they were actually quite slow at 100%, but we'll see whether that's the case here because they do tend to vary track to track. So we'll see if we can get a decent race out of it. I forgot to check how long the races were actually, but there we go. Bit of practice. Let's see let's go out on track with some cars and just see how they react around us. See if they provide a good race. Let's wait for them to go past first, and we'll follow them out. There we go. Okay. Let's go. Need some grip. Yeah, I think they are a bit slower than the 19 ones. I think that's just down to the fact that the cars aren't moving around quite as much. Possibly. Yeah, there's not much grip. Hopefully we can get a bit of warmth through the tyres and we can start pushing on a bit more. It's a tricky little downhill chicane section. So being the fast section, the fast circuits, we have this really quick left-hander which is understeered wildly through. We don't bother with the next section here, we just keep it pinned all the way down the back straight. Which is an opportunity for the TCR cars to actually use sixth gear, which we don't tend to do very often, so it's good. Now the top speed we're getting down here, 250 kilometers an hour, 253, 4, 5, 7, 8. Can we get 260? No. And we have a really fast sweeping uphill left. And we're back over the line. It's like the AI cars can't drive as well with the new tyres. It's possible, yeah. They probably had to have a bit of tweaking just to adapt to the new physics. I do love the look of them again. It's a shame it's only available in black, because getting a decent livery on there, I think it would look amazing. Let's see if we can dive bomb. Oh, Mr. Condenser. Oh. Okay, we got a good overtaking opportunity into here. See how we can get up the inside. Yeah. Next on the list is a Hyundai. Let's see if we can get him. Yeah, that's a bit better view that time. I had a little bit of a lift just to make sure we didn't run off track there, but in general it felt a lot better going through there. It wasn't as understeery, but you know, out of luck with cold tyres, it's going to be a little bit like that. It's flying along on the limiter. Brave on the brakes. Tip turn. Sorry, Gabriele. But he was a little bit slow through the middle though. Look at him, he's got a bit of a run. Fair dues, I thought he was going to have another go around the outside there. He's kind of sticking with it. Not too bad. But he didn't just kind of roll over and let me take that position though. He was prepared to fight it back, which is good. Saved it. I tell you, it's one of the most unnatural things in the world, trying to apply throttle when you're going sideways. The natural instinct is just to lift off and put the brakes on and try and correct it that way, but it's the worst thing you could do in a front-wheel drive car, which I get the impression is one of the main causes of accidents on the road, because there's so many front-wheel drive cars out there, and people, if they do get into a situation where the car is sliding, it it's just the natural reaction to put the foot on the brake and unfortunately ends badly. So it's got to train your brain to kind of get used to smashing that throttle down just to try and get you out of trouble. Come on then, Dylan. You're going to have a go into the last corner. Let's go in for it. We're better on the brakes. Oh, big slide all the way through there. I do love that last corner, it's so fun. Okay, I would say we are successfully too quick for the AI on this setting. We are nearly 2 seconds lap quicker, so I'm going to jump out of here. I'll up the AI's ability, and I'll also check how long we've got down for a race here. So let's go 104. It's probably going to be too much, but you know, we've got to try. 10 minutes. Yeah, let's do that. We don't need masses of practice actually, so we'll just skip straight to qualifying, and then we'll do a 10-minute race and just see how we get on with all the cars on track. Totally legit touring car pass. Yes. Opponents are there to be leaned on. Yeah, we certainly lean on Gabrielli. I'm pretty sure he would give it back to me as well if he wanted to. Oh dear. So, summing up while we're loading in here, what do I think of the new 2020 WTCR cars? I really like them actually. I think they are really nice to drive. They add another dimension to the TCR category on RaceRoom. I know people might be like, well, it's just a rehash of old content. Yeah, it's easy to see that could be the case, but they've really refined them, I feel, and they've made them feel a lot more alive on track. So it's a really more of an engaging driving experience driving these cars. So yeah, definitely a good step forward for me. So let's end the session, qualifying, and we'll go out with a full tank of fuel because we're heroes like that. Okay, let's go set ourselves a lap time. Get ourselves a nice bit of clear air in front of us. This is one of the most difficult corners on this track, in this layout anyway. Just because you're trying to brake and turn, it's all that kind of conflict of grip. Speaking of which, there's not much there then. Lift and then back on the power nice and hard through there. Carry as much speed as we can down the straight. I fully expect these AI to be considerably quicker this time around, so we may not be very far up the grid, but we will see. Santia Ruches using the slipstream to full effect. I'll get you back hopefully. Not like that. How good is he going to be through this little bit here? This is where we centred at the inside of Gabrielli. Oh, much quicker through there that time. Okay. Let's hope he doesn't hold us up too much. I said that, he's probably going to just cruise away from us now. That corner in the old TCR cars was pretty much flat. I did do a little bit of lift there. that's not the quickest way through there. I thought I had that for a moment, but no. So those harsh downshifts, got to be aware of those. Well, it looks like there's definitely areas of the track where we're quicker, and areas where he's quicker. There's my error there, going too narrow into there, and that just pushes you off wide. So, my fault for taking that corner too tightly. We don't want to get too close to him, but we want to try and maximise the aero down the straight if we can. So this lap's not going to count anyway, so we'll go again and hopefully be able to get a lap on the board. Not the best time to downshift, but we're okay. A little bit of a lift. Back on the power. Okay, brake earlier. It's a little bit better. Still felt a little bit slow though. I think I could probably carry a bit more speed into there. Definitely a lot quicker through the chicane. They are, aren't they? I mean, they do look very nice. I mean, the more modern ones look really, really good. I mean, they've done a rework on Laguna Seca as well. But, you know, this one, really nicely done. The RaceRoom's really come on into its own, really, I think, recently. I mean, we've never really had much of a say. I mean, a lot of people kind of wrote it off almost after its initial few years of life, but really I think it's progressed so well, and it's really, really good. So we are quicker again, so we're put it on pole so far. We're 0.3 quicker than Santi Risha ahead of us, so let's just take it to the garage and we'll end the session and see where we end up. We're going to be starting on pole by the looks of things, so 10 lap race. Let's see how we get on. There's me with my wild hair. That was a picture taken at Sonoma, and I was over there doing doing a 2-day driving course. That was a lot of fun. It was with some Raceway. Right, let's keep an eye on the lights. Let's try and start a front-wheel drive touring car. Not an easy thing to do. Wheel spin. Oh, Arusha's got us into the first corner, maybe. Let's see if we can just keep it. Ooh, hello. Who was that? Nicky Catsbury. Of course it was. The bad boy of WTCR. That's a big old hit to the rear. Okay, game on. Try and do this without running him off the road. A little bit of a nudge there. Cars look fantastic. Ooh, I got a tap from my fellow Megane driver behind me then. That'll teach me for being conservative. Right, okay. Now, Casper's going to get a run on me as well. Give me your slipstream, I need it. Nice to curb that attack. Use our superior cornering ability through the last corner, maybe. Just like that. Just taking the high line. Oh, Catsburg's got us as well. Oh man, other than McGann's going for the lead. Side by side all the way through here. Catsburg's going for the outside line. Oh. There's that massive curb on the inside. Oh, I'm broken. I'm definitely broken now. Oh, that curb wrecks you. It's so bad. Wow, okay. Well, that was pretty cool so far. Let's try that again, but let's just... can't do it in here, that's fine. Let's restart that and see if we can keep it on track. But that's pretty good though. I mean, there's a fair bit of racing going on there. They're all getting stuck in, which is really cool. Now I know I need to avoid that little bomb on the inside. Ah, no. Not a good start. Yep, it's got us again. What? Are you serious? Is that even a thing? Go around the outside into there. That is insane. I've got another car alongside him. Not great. I will take my punishment for that one. You can't turn it on me. I'm still here. Oh no, I've got a van next to me now. Screw around the outside, no problem. So, if you play your sim racing games offline and you're only racing against the AI, not only will you have a fantastic driving experience driving these WTCR cars, you will also get a really good race by the looks of things as well. Because these AI cars are super aggressive, but they will give you a really good race. Look at these two going side by side through here. Okay, so lap one in the books. Van was quicker through there. Let's go to the outside, give him some space. Hopefully he doesn't push me onto the landmine. Now we know we're good into the chicane. He's left the door open for me there. Glad to take that opportunity. Thanks, Ivan. Risha's back in the lead. I do love touring car racing, it is so fun. It really is. that slippery Lincoln Co is going to cruise right into the back of me again now. Here it comes. Are you flashing your lights at me again? That'll be weird. There we go. Getting to a bit of a rhythm now. We've caught back up with the leaders. Make some inroads on them even further and just try and get back ahead of Mr. Katzberg. Definitely quicker than me through there at the moment, but it's okay. That's a late move. It caught me out on the brakes there a little bit. It definitely does have an authentic touring car race feel, that's for sure. It's interesting to see what happens with the tyres now as well, see if they do end up overheating or going off in any way. Tight through there, get a better run out of it. Show the nose a little bit there. Gabrielli's gone quickest, where's he? He's a long way down the field by the looks of this. Balancing the car through there. Better. So we can sneak up the inside here. Here we go. This is our section of circuit where we're a little bit quicker. So up to P2. I think he's trying to get back on the inside into here. Thank you. It's going to happen down the back straight now. Yeah, it certainly is set very well for a good race here. There we go, nothing I can do about that. Outbrake him a little bit, chop the nose off. Do you defend or not? Oh, we had a good chance of speed through there, that's for sure. Some work to do now. Saved it, but probably hurt my tyres significantly. Rouge is getting away, he's 2 seconds ahead, so let's pull that back. Got a bit of clear air behind us as well now. Decent mixture of cars, so we've got the two Lincoln Co's, obviously myself and the Renault, Hyundai, got the Honda up there as well. Somehow, despite not being able to see, oh, that's just too quick into there. Losing pace to the guy ahead now. Yeah, I'm not surprised he's that fast as that. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of work to do. Oh dear me, it's a handful into there, it really is. Yeah, I think the wind's going to be out of the window now. But we'll keep pushing, never know. Oh, I've lost my bearings altogether now. Come on, let's get this back together. All over the place. I don't know how he'd all of a sudden just absolutely taken off. I know I've had a couple of scruffy laps, but everyone else is still reasonably close behind, and Arush's just done one into the distance. That was much better through there that time. Too quick. At this rate, I'll be lucky to keep hold of my second place, I think. All over the place into there now. That's not the desired line. So that's the thing with these front-wheel drive touring cars. You really got to be so gentle with them, and I'm just kind of being a bit rough with them at the moment. But also I've probably cooked the tyres with many oversteery moments. That long corner is certainly going to damage your tyres as well. It's so... I mean, there's two long corners, that one and then the last one as well. You're just constantly just on the power turning, and it's just going to chew through your tyres. So. Still got some company behind. That slipstream makes a real difference in these cars. Yeah, I would say so. I think tyre wear is definitely having an effect. I think we've lost quite a bit of grip. Yeah, just can't get the car turned in for turn one now. Yeah, and that there as well. It used to be a little lift and you can be straight back on the power again, but now it's a lot more of a lift. It's just pushing on. Just those killer downshifts as well. You see it just bouncing the car around. Keep it out wide. A bit better. No man's land now. We've got a massive gap to the leader. 1.5 second gap back to Ricky Cascade behind. Oh, it's so good. Not quick, but it's so good. Two to go. Let's try and see if we can cool these tyres down a little bit by not being as aggressive with them. Especially here. Such a difficult corner, that one though. I don't know if I can hear the track announcer then as they're going through there. It's totally put me off. It sounded like I could hear the commentator over the ambient speakers. It's pretty cool. Yeah, Roosh is just dominating this. He's gone. Good night. He's checked out of them. So we're running low fuel, so hopefully we can finish this. Big shame to get all the way through and then run out of fuel in the last lap. That would be disastrous. The track itself is really good. It's a nice flow to it. Don't throw it away now. You know what you're like. Luckily, we had some space behind. Yeah, and instantly the grip is just gone the next corner, so you do overcook it like that. The tyres just, they'll punish you for it. Unfortunately, that race fell a little bit flat towards the end, but it was a great start at the beginning. I think for a little bit more tweaking with the AI settings, we might be able to get it even better. But in general, it races really well. Definitely worth going and having a go with. We go down to the last corner for the last time. And there we go, up and over the line, P2, in what was initially a very enjoyable race, so that was good. Oh, dear. Yes, shoulder does realise you've done too much, but there we go. So that's our review of the WTCR 2020 class cars. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful in terms of describing how the different cars drive and how they react on track and what kind of things to look out for as well. So we really hope you enjoyed that. If you did enjoy it, please do hit the like button. Again, apologies for the massive issue on not the first time trying to do the stream, but thankfully we were able to get up and running again, and we were able to do a review for you guys. So yeah, big thanks for those watching, sticking around with us, going through with all that. Thank you for your inputs as well. It's good to read your comments and just get an idea of what you're thinking and how you're enjoying the content. So yeah, thank you for that. But we will see you all very, very soon, and I hope you all take care, and we'll see you next time. Until then, see you soon.